Hello, lovely people. My name is Kate. I'm a hypnotherapist, and again, another video covering the topic of the power of our subconscious mind, and in particular, we are talking today about flashbacks in trauma, how to stop them, what to do about them, and at least how to understand why we have flashbacks. And a lot of people, there is a lot of resources online, and they all kind of involve really difficult scientific terms, how your brain works, where was the malfunction in your brain during the trauma that caused you now to have flashbacks. But I want to talk about it in a very simplified way, so that every person can understand. Flashbacks are unintentional, unconscious self-regression to the trauma event that feels so real that it actually feels like it is reliving the event, the traumatic event, right? So the raw flashbacks, we have them all the time, when we are remembering, recollecting, right? Regressing, reliving the happy moments in our life, right? And they bring us this inspiration, empowerment, motivation, gratitude, right? However, with the traumatic flashbacks, it's something that throws our body back into the fight or flight mode. Or in a panic attack. Sometimes people can have seizures in a very severe cases, right? Flashbacks is just like a pictures. It's like a movie right in front of your eyes, and you are right in the body of you, a younger version of you, reliving the trauma. And all of the pictures, traumatic pictures, feelings, they're bringing out all the physical symptoms that you had during the traumatic events, and even more, even more. So usually flashbacks are something that you cannot regulate, like you don't know what to do about them. When they happen, it's like you freeze. You freeze and you shake, you hyperventilate, right? You go into panic, something that you cannot stop, something that feels very scary, and sometimes something that you can only stop by distraction, right? And I'll give you some tips and advices how to do that at the end of this video so that you can use them, right? Flashbacks usually happen when you are very relaxed or distracted. So when your, let's say, mental guard is down. So when can it happen? At the family reunion. Can be triggered by some of the family members as well. When you are at the friends gathering, just having fun with your friends, and you're enjoying, when you're happy, you're enjoying life, right? Again, so that's when we let go of control. When we start to really control our environment, involving ourselves into different activities just to be always busy, right? And not to think about the past events. That's when somehow we can still think about the things, that we are doing. But when we are letting go is usually when we are relaxed. So during gatherings at family, friends, parties, can be while driving. If you notice yourself when you are driving and you don't remember how you got there. You drove for 15 minutes, but you really don't remember even going through the traffic lights, right? This is, by the way, self-hypnosis, where you are hypnotizing yourself. Because hypnosis is part of our life, during sleep. Usually it's called night terrors already, right? In your sleep, if you are having flashbacks or reliving it, right, it's night terrors. But at the same time, there are also flashbacks during sex. When you're having sex, you also let go, you relax, right? And a lot of people can have flashbacks during sexual intercourse, or just, even kissing, yeah, right, with your partner can also trigger flashback. Intimacy, when you're hugging, when you are watching a movie, right, you are relaxed, right? However, at the same time, when we are relaxed, our subconscious mind starts to talk to us with whatever worry it has, with whatever unresolved trauma it has, it will talk to us, right? So flashbacks are real kind of events that you're reliving in front of you for the people who are in war or are veterans from war or any military conflicts, right? They are having flashbacks, and it's very often they do, because the war doesn't end where it ends for the people. It doesn't end for the soldiers. They need, usually that's why they mostly need this support and to work with therapists, right? With psychiatrists, with any type of counselor to help them, using any tools that can help them, overcome the traumatic experience. We can be triggered. We can be triggered by anything. To have a flashback, you don't need to only be like relaxed or, let go. The trigger can be something that you don't even know. So it can be smell. You probably don't even remember what you smelled when you were during the trauma. But a traumatic event can be anything. Can be abuse, physical, mental, emotional, can be neglect, can be terrorist attack, can be car accident, can be, death of the loved ones, right? Anything, anything. Bullying can also be traumatic. War survivors, right, also can have flashbacks and can form the trauma. So smells, right? It can be sounds. So for example, if you remember how you responded to the song that you like and that reminds you of your vacation or how you met your partner or some romantic memories, right? You have this feeling, right? The same feeling. It's like you're regressing yourself. The same happens during the traumatic flashbacks, right? Any sound, any music, anything can remind you. For people who are now in the military conflict, in the war situation, right? They are hearing bombing, shelling, right? After the war ends, and I really believe that war in Ukraine really ends really soon, and we have peace over our country. Usually people are still have fear even if they hear the sounds of thunderstorm. People upstairs, if you're living in an apartment moving something, have sudden noises can trigger flashbacks, right? Places, when you go to any place that reminds you of the trauma, can also be triggered. Colors can be triggered. Could be objects, something that reminds you what happened, right? People, like news. When you're watching the news that reminds you of that situation, you can be thrown back right into the flashback, reliving that trauma. It's called, when you're reliving the trauma, it's abreaction. In hypnotherapy, for example, it's called abreaction, right? When you are reliving it. And in some cases, you need to relive it again. You need to face that pain again, but from the safe place in the therapist's chair, right? To really relieve that and understand, your subconscious mind needs to understand that it was in the past. So what happens in your mind, right? Usually when you form long-term memories, your amygdala and your hippocampus are working together and they're forming long-term memories. But when the trauma happens, because it is unexpected, very dramatic, emotional, and isolated, right? They don't work together. They are in dissonance, right? So your mind cannot understand that it was in the past, right? So it's still kind of unresolved. Your mind capsules that trauma, you hide it. Sometimes some people block the traumatic memory completely out of their memory, right? They don't remember it. It happens when your mind wants to save you, want to protect you, and it just blocks it altogether because it understands that it's very dangerous for you to remember that memory. Because you can be so upset that your mind, because it wants to keep your body alive, right? It can believe that you can do something to yourself. So you don't need to face that pain, right? So it blocks you. It doesn't mean that it's not there. It usually will give you physical symptoms throughout your life, right? So in trauma, right, your mind, as I said, your subconscious mind does not understand that it already is over and you are safe. So I'll give you a couple of advices what you can do with flashbacks, right? When you have a flashbacks, I tended to, because I had this flashbacks also as a trauma response, what helped me the most is pinching myself in these kind of like sometimes I'm just kind of like, massaging my ears when I have flashback. It brings you back into the present. It distracts you from the flashback and from, sometimes people have dissociation, right? It distracts you, so it gives you some time to go to the safe place, to be in the moment, right? Some people who are more aware and more conscious, more like doing the inner work, they can do tapping, right? Or they can do massage and breathing. Breathing is amazing, right? However, what I noticed is people in a fight or flight mode, this freeze mode, sometimes they can't go to the breathing. It's really hard for them to step into that stage. So they can just try to pinch themselves, distract themselves from the flashback and then breathing, right? However, it's up to you. You need to understand how your body works and what works best for you, right? Talking about it. When you are having a flashback, it's good to talk about it, right? I'm having a flashback. I'm right in that room, being abused. I feel like I'm reliving it. It could be anything. It could be something traumatic. Could be, for example, let's take a flashback from war. So you are sitting having dinner, and right away you're having this flashback when there was an explosion and half of your friends, right, just kind of like exploded right in front of you, right, and they are dead and you're just kind of gathering bodies, right? So you can be there. So it's good to talk about it. I'm doing this. I'm in war right now. I'm in that situation, right? So when you're talking, you are acknowledging that it's happening, right? And then someone who's right next to you can help you process that. You're here, you're safe, it happened. Educating, trying to educate your family members and your friends to help you in that situation really, really helps people, right? Seeking support is crucial in flashbacks. Flashbacks is so intrusive, they can happen anywhere. You are afraid of having them, so you're afraid of you're panicking before having a panic attack or relieving the trauma, right? And in some cases, there is a lot of shame, guilt, and regret connected to the traumatic experience. So if you feel regret, you feel guilt, you're relieving it in order to find these solutions. What if I could do? What would happen if I did differently, if I acted differently, right? So if you're working with the flashbacks and traumatic experience, you need to work first on guilt, shame, and regret, right? Like accepting, right, that it happened the way it is. There helps people tremendously, right? And the other advice, don't shut it down. Don't think it's gonna just, it's just a pass. It's gonna pass eventually, My mind is just gonna deal with it. No, and no. Even if you haven't had flashbacks, you can have physical symptoms, insomnia, headaches, panics, anxiety, worry, intrusive thoughts, suicidal thoughts. All of them are reminders that you need to work through the trauma, right? So I hope this information was really helpful for you, and you could, try and take these advices and tips and regulate the flashback or, abreaction when you have it from the traumatic event. Otherwise, if you need my help, my contact information is in the description. Subscribe, comment if you want to. I really will respond to everyone. I wish you all the best. Have a physical and mental health. I love you. Bye.